Alright, so this is a video for filling markers, inks, all that sort of stuff. We got your Oink ink, the super drippy, glowy stuff that I've shown you before, and zombie ink, which is some pretty amazing stuff. I like it. Crink marker, a steel tip is the only thing I have right now. It's pretty full of ink. I just filled it in the other video, but unfortunately it was too long. I made a hell of a drippy mess. So the crink tips, I like these. These are tight ass markers. So pretty much you just unscrew, drop in your color of ink, oink, zombie, whatever you're using. Zombie ink, they got a little flip nib, boop, and you just flip it and pour. Cool shit, man. Alright. This is like any other normal mop you're gonna find. Unscrew lid. A little bitty nib at the top. Now on the nib, you're gonna have to find a little bitty thin line. You might have to scratch the paint away, or ink, whatever you're using, and you'll see it. It's a very thin line, and that's where you want to stick your knife at. And you want to pull up on one side like that, and then spin the mop around to the other side and pull it up again. Just kind of wedge it out until you completely remove the nib. And then once you get it up high enough, you can pretty much just unscrew and take off and fill it with whatever ink you want to fill it with and put it back on. It's pretty simple. Voila. Now when I'm filling lots of inks, I prefer 2 gloves. Normally if you're just going to fill one, you just hold it with this hand and then pour with the other without the glove. That way if you mess up, you just get on this glove and this hand's fine. The Molotov marker, I did fill this one in the other video. I'll see if I can squeeze it in. I filled it with oink. I don't know if it's still dripping or not. Looks like it ain't. Yeah, there's some thick lines. Thick black lines. It's got almost a blue tint to it, which is pretty crazy. But that oink really showed up this time. Before it was almost a blue, like a navy blue, and now it's bleed through instantly. I'll clean that off later. Alright, what did I miss? The decos. Those were pretty simple. Deco, you just want to remove the label, and it says do not, remove it anyways. Unscrew it. The first time you unscrew it, it might be hard. You might have to go grab some pliers, but it's a screw off. Sometimes you'll grab the nib like I just did, which you don't want to do. So if you can, just use your glove and pull the nib off and then shove it back in there like that. Okay, and just like the other one, you have to find the line between the metal and the pump. The pump's like a plastic, and it's gonna be whatever color the marker is, or the paint technically. And these are a little bit harder to take off because they are made out of rubber and plastic, so they kind of don't want to go off. Alright, and that's a deco without its tip. It is refillable, but everything I've ever used with the deco, it didn't feel quite right. This one's almost empty, and when it's empty, I'm going to try to fill it with oink, and I'll show you. It just doesn't work. That's the pump for any deco. You got a little spring in there, and it just pumps right out. Put it back in, just kind of shove it right in. Same thing with this, except you want to screw it. Just put it on there and screw. And that bitch is on. You don't have to do this, but you can put the label back on. I normally do until I'm completely finished with the marker and I'm just ready to throw it away. The Magnum, this one, I showed in the other video how to really put it together. And in this video, I don't have that kind of time, seeing I already did it, and I don't want to do it again. But pretty much, you just want to pull it out. It's going to look kind of like this. Unless you're doing it for the first time, then you just pull a nib out and just crimp, like I said before, just go around these edges and just bend it out into a circular motion. Unlike mine is square, but it's fine. And you want to just do that metal only, so you can keep the lid and you just want to cut out squares of tube sock. I'll cut you out one real quick just to show you what it looks like. Or actually, I bet you I can take this apart and find a piece of square. Alright, so ignore the holes. Pretend like the holes aren't there at the top. And this is just a square piece of tube sock. You want to roll it like this, or it's like a joint almost, or a cigarette or whatever. And you want to bend it back so you get that nib tip. And if you need to, if that doesn't fit in all the way, it's got like a little bit of a layer on top. See what I'm talking about? If it goes to here and not all the way up to the top, what you want to do then is you want to cut out enough. I'm just going to use this whole thing. This isn't realistic. You want to get a small portion, and you just want to kind of take everything and push it to the bottom and just kind of stick it up in a nib like that. And then just have everything down at the bottom. Then we get that nice round smooth nib look. And yes, tube sock works just fine. To show you, I will. And with this one, the harder you press down, the fatter the lines you're going to get. This is a little bit streaky. That's not too bad. Like, here's a thin line. And I'm going to press down harder and harder as I go. You see how it gets bigger? So you can kind of differentiate your lines. The harder you do press down, though, the better the ink flow you get. So it's recommended. And whenever you do first stuff the sock in, if you do it fresh, there is a way to refill the nib real quick instead of having to wait, you know, leave it upside down for 20 minutes. You just grab your ink bottle, set it to the tip, and fill. And it'll fill out almost evenly. It might drip a little bit. Just do like that, and not squirting it all over the place like I just did. Like I said, this oink is really messy shit, and that's why I would recommend gloves every time you mess with it. And always keep a nib on that, man, on this tip. Always keep it on. If you leave that off and flip this bottle, you're fucked. And don't oink. Oink. And that is a Sharpie Magnum filled with oink, which it's really fucked up because I fucked up. And that is how you refill most markers. I'm sorry I do not have a lot of markers right now. I ordered off of some new websites so I can get different ones like Dollos, some Montana markers, OTR flow pens, mini flow pens. I ordered at least $150 worth of supplies, and the site that I used isn't the best. I've ordered from 3 different sites right now. I have 3 coming in. I have a Montana shipment come in of every different type of Montana, except for the limited editions, because those are $40 a piece, and I don't have that kind of money. And I'm testing out this other site, which seems to be working pretty good. So I'll have an update later on of which sites are good and which are bad. But so far, what I can show you, that's oink, 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 oink. So pretty much everything I own of my supplies all came from Oink Art Ltd. All my Montanas, all my Iron Lacs, all my Molotovs, everything all came from Oink. So far, from what I can say, Oink is the best site. But I just recently used one, and I think they're pretty good too. I will update y'all more on that. Sorry I don't have the best videos right now. I picked this little marker up in a Dallas art graffiti shop, but you can get this on pretty much any site. Oink doesn't have it right now. Oink's really low on supplies because they have such a high demand because they're so good and they're so low on prices. But other than that, Oink is the site to go.